final 404 Hamilton, 417. 4905. Our final 448.
De Niro. In Bang the Drum Slowly, the critics called him a brilliant new talent. After Mean Streets, they said he was a genius. For his performance in The Godfather Part 2, they gave him the Academy Award.
Man, that's how they used to do trailers, eh? That was how trailers should have been done back in the day, and they were, but they should be done like that now. It is, of course, Taxi Driver.
That is bigging it up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It is. I just saw actually Mean Streets the other day.
Yeah.
I think it was the first time I'd seen it. It was great.
With Harvey Keitel.
Yeah, Lena Lamontson to talk films, the International Film Festival, of course. So many films on, and people were thinking, well, Taxi Driver, that's an old film.
Right.
It's not new, is it?
Well, they do. The film festival is so beautifully programmed, in my opinion, and this year is so far, everything I've seen I've totally loved. And the beauty of it is that they take the opportunity to bring back films and usually restored prints. So this is 1976, Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
They're playing La Dolce Vita on Saturday as well. And the beauty of it is you get to go to the Civic, you sit in a proper, beautiful cinematic environment, you see the massively... a piece of history up on the big screen, and it is a wonderful occasion. It isn't the same as just renting.
So I shouldn't just go get the DVD.
You shouldn't just go get the DVD and watch it on your 32-inch telly, because it's not the same. Honestly, Taxi Driver, right? I thought it was the first one that I've seen in this festival. Yeah. So I thought, I'm sure that I've seen this, because everybody knows that seminal kind of "you talking to me? You talking to me? There's no one else here" line, right? So you feel as though you've really seen the film. So I sat back and it washed over me, to use cinematic parlance.
You saw it on the big screen?
Yeah, no, what I'm talking about is I'm sure that in my past I've seen it on video or something.
Yeah.
But probably sort of maybe drunk at someone's house in your kind of early 20s, sort of, where actually you're not watching it properly, I'm realising, because I'm watching it here, stone cold sober, in the Civic, magnificent projection, and it is the most amazing experience. And I thought, wow, this feels like this is a fresh experience for me. And it's amazing. And Robert De Niro, he plays a 26-year-old. I can't remember how old he actually is when he does it. He's so gorgeous and so creepy. And do you know that there's this... Hitchcock had this idea, I believe it's called a MacGuffin. The idea is that you set something up at the beginning of a film or the beginning of a scene, right? For example, you know that one of the characters has put a bomb underneath a chair.
Yeah.
The audience knows, but the characters don't. And as the scene progresses, the audience gets quite anxious about the fact that they know that that bomb is bound to go off at some stage. And the Taxi Driver felt like that for me the whole time, because I knew bad stuff was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's such a slow build, and Robert De Niro's character builds so slowly from being this kind of ex-Marine kind of, I got no education, got no experience, I'll be a taxi driver driving around the streets at night, looking at what he then starts to call the scum of the earth, and you start to go, that's not a very sort of philanthropic view of the world, is it?
Yeah.
And then things obviously start to get a bit sort of nasty and a bit sort of creepy.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful.
Worth seeing again on the big screen.
Get in there.
Of course, there's so much on.
There's so much.
If you should get a hold of your program or take a look at the website. What else have you seen?
Right, so another little one I wanted to mention. I keep calling it a little film because it's called Tiny Furniture. It's an American indie film, kind of a comedy, very, very sweet. The filmmaker I was trying to work this out. She's born in 86, so she must be, 25 or something, yeah? So she's quite brilliant, in my opinion. She's written and directed this film, and she stars in it. Her name is Lena Dunham, and she's got her sister playing her sister in this film. You know how normally when people are, like, making their first movies or kind of, like, funny sort of independent films, it's kind of handheld and grainy and the sound's a bit off and all that? This is a spectacular, high-definition, digital-looking piece of film.
The kids got it too easy these days.
Right, I know. And it's beautifully scripted, and it's just this story of this she's a college graduate. She returns to her mother's Tribeca loft. So if you've never lived in a Tribeca loft in New York, and I haven't, I have to admit, much to my sorrow, then she moves home to kind of sort stuff out, figure out what she's doing with her life, winds up in a few dead-end jobs and with some dead-end guys, you know. But it's just a lovely, lovely little piece. So I implore people
one of those indie films where nothing happens.
Stuff kind of happens, but in a very kind of day-to-day, low-key kind of way. That's right. There's no MacGuffin in this film.
Any other standouts?
Yes. Golly, where to start? The documentary about Bobby Fischer, the chess champion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I like it when they can take a subject like chess, which to me is not a dangerous kind of exciting game.
Yeah.
Appreciate it's quite exciting for those playing it.
Sounds like the King of Kong, about the computer game player. That was a couple of years ago.
And they made that an exciting documentary?
Oh, yeah. Riveting. It had good, evil. It was the
right.
Right.
And of course, with something like Bobby Fischer, who I think most people have heard of at very least, never mind he was US chess champion, he was world chess champion for many years, and the beauty of it was that his peak, if you will, was during the 70s and the Cold War, where he's playing against the Russian Boris Spassky. So the whole world gets in on this whole America versus Russia kind of really important match, or many
It's
matches
as though the
in a
game itself was, nuclear weapons being moved around on a map. Yeah.
But of course, Bobby Fischer is not he is nothing short of an intensely flawed, sort of actually mentally unwell kind of guy. So you've always got these. It seems as though you've always got behind brilliance. You've got distress or unwellness, and it makes for fascinating viewing. So Bobby Fischer Against the World is a must see. And bear in mind, of course, if you've missed it in Auckland, the people in Wellington, Christchurch, Dunedin, Palmerston North, everywhere else still have heaps of time to get to these. So that's a goodie as well. Elite Squad: The Enemy Within is a Brazilian crime drama.
Oh yeah.
I think in 2008, Elite Squad 1, the first Elite Squad movie, was out. Honestly,
we should have seen that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I totally should have. Except that apparently this one's better, and apparently you can see this one without it. You can see this one as a standalone unit. You don't need to have seen the last one, but this one is definitely a sequel. It reminded me of a cross between that Hong Kong drama of many years ago. There's a trilogy, Infernal Affairs, that they made into The Departed, which is bringing Scorsese back, right? So you've kind of got your Departed story, Heat, elements of The Wire almost. I mean, I might have been projecting everything that I love into this film, but it is fast-paced. Basically, it's about corrupt cops, and there are very few goodies in the film, actually, as it turns out. And it's on the streets, and it's drugs, and it's guns, and people are dying, and it's full on. It's very, very exciting. It's very intense. I guess, if anything, I would say that they kind of went overboard with the soundtrack, and there's so much noise throughout the whole film that it really is a barrage, a sensory barrage, perhaps. But it's exciting. It's a good film.
Cool. There's so many on. I could recommend Snowtown. Anyone listening to the show yesterday would have heard the interview with the director and lead actor as well. It was about the bodies in the barrels murders from 10 years ago.
Right.
People might remember that in the news. A place called Snowtown in Australia. Horrific story about 11 murders.
See, I read the blurb and thought, I love a good serial killer film. I thought this might be a bit much, but was it
just executed?
No pun intended.
Immaculately.
Done.
Just it was the director's first film. I just found it astounding. What a subject to tackle,
and he does it as a documentary, or is he fictionalised?
Justin walked in. No, it's fictionalised.
It's a dramatisation.
Yeah.
Right.
Justin walks in here like a member of Grinder Man, Nick Cave's band.
Right.
He looked like he would be the director of this film.
Yeah.
It's such a dark, but the acting in it is just so real. In fact, he was explaining that a lot of the actors weren't in fact actors. They were, just pulled off the street. Brilliant. I mean, it is very dark. It's very chilling.
Yeah.
You won't feel good at the end of it,
No.
but you've been put through the ringer. But I think it's a really important film.
Okay.
Really important. So I recommend that. Also, I'm going to be chatting with Costa Boats a little bit later on this hour about his documentary called Daytime Tiger, about the writer Michael Morrissey. And his battle with manic depression.
Interesting.
Very important documentary and really up close and personal. You really feel like you get a really good understanding of that illness. So that's very cool. And one I don't recommend. And now that I've done that interview and he's gone, the Innkeepers. I didn't enjoy it. It was a homage to classic sort of horror films.
Right. Is it a New Zealand film?
No. It was in the incredibly strange section.
Right.
It looks really good. I'm going to say he did Cabin Fever 2 and these other classic sort of, or more recently classic sort of horror films. But I just found the acting, couldn't get past the acting, which was terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a top tip.
Yeah, that's a tip.
Do you know what's interesting when you say about the documentaries? Because you know how every year we have the documentary film festival and we kind of go, wow, there's such a good crop. Isn't it amazing? There'll be nothing left. The documentaries that are programmed into this festival are fantastic as well. And I've seen the chess one, Bobby Fischer. I'm going to see Senna, which is meant to be incredible, about Ayrton Senna. Their Brother Number One is premiering on Sunday, actually. I need to give a shout-out to that because that's a New Zealand-made documentary, Annie Goldson. And she has gone with her crowd to Cambodia to... You know that they've got the trials going on at the moment for the Khmer Rouge atrocities that happened in the late 70s, and Rob Hamill's brother, Kerry, Rob Hamill, the Olympic rower, our Olympic rower, his brother, Kerry, was murdered by the regime in the late 70s. So Rob goes over to Cambodia to confront the number twos and number threes who are on trial. And it's going to be really gut-wrenching. And so that premieres, as I say, on Sunday, and that will definitely be worth looking out for. Both the Herald and the Listener had said it was the top documentary of the festival.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Awesome. So much to do.
So much.
We could riff on this for hours, I reckon, but there it is, the program. Go and get it at your local cafe or nzff.co.nz. Check out the reviews in the Sunday Star Times as well from Lena Lamont. And
I'm also blogging, on Lena Lamont. It's connected to the NZFF websites as well, because every time I see something, I just sort of hammer out a couple of hundred words about it. So, yeah.
LenaLamont.wordpress.com. Cheers, Lena.